The next section is going to be about our first major conquest, but we didn't actually conquer anything. We bought it, okay? So, we decided, we figured out that Russia wanted to sell a large territory called Alaska, okay? It's part of Canada, basically, at this point. But it's actually part of the Russian Empire, so it's right next to Canada. And they wanted to sell the whole thing for $7.2 million, okay? And a lot of Americans were against it. They thought that it was a frozen wasteland. But Secretary of State William Seward, he bought it without asking Congress. He just agreed to it, okay, which is actually technically illegal. But Congress paid for it anyway. And we bought Alaska. And then the government sent in people to figure out if we had made a good deal, okay? And as they went through Alaska, they realized that Americans were absolutely dead wrong, okay? The American citizens were making fun of Seward, calling it Seward's folly or Seward's foolish decision. That's what that means. They also called it Seward's icebox. I mean, they said, man, dude, you basically bought the North Pole. What are you going to do? Go hang out with Santa Claus? You know, they had all kind of political cartoons making fun of William Seward. You can see one of them right here, okay? So we went there, and we found that Alaska is vastly rich in natural resources. Billions of gallons of oil everywhere, okay? There's gold. There's trees, there's wildlife, there's everything that you can make money off of. This is the best land deal in human history. We bought Alaska for 2 cents an acre, okay? Can you imagine that? 2 cents an acre. If you applied the same formula or the same ratio to Church Point High's campus, the entire campus would cost like 20 cents, okay? Well, it's about 10 acres, and if it's 2 cents an acre, it's 20 cents for the whole campus, okay? That's a massive buy. That's a great deal, okay? All right, so on the test, we have a question, and you can write this question down. The question is, what changed Americans' minds about Seward's folly? And the answer is all the natural resources that we found, okay? Trees, oil, wildlife. You need to know which resources we found there. Oil, that's another one, okay? So that's Seward's folly for you. Now, in the 1800s, a guy was going through an area of Alaska called the Klondike, and he found a gold nugget about this big, okay? And the Klondike gold rush was on. Americans flooded into Alaska, and it is still being mined today, okay? Billions, probably trillions of dollars worth of gold have been pulled out of Alaska, which is an insane investment for the United States of America. Hundreds of thousands of men, mostly, went all the way through Canada, walking in some cases, to get to Canada, to get to the Klondike Gold Rush. If you ever watched the show Gold Rush on the History Channel, that is in the Klondike for the most part. Okay, those guys are still mining in the Klondike. So, other reasons for imperialism, okay? Alfred Mahan, he's an admiral who wrote Influence of Sea Power Upon History. And he said a country can't be a superpower without a massive modern navy, okay? So, in order to have this massive empire, in order to be a superpower, you have to have the most massive modern ships, so that way you can defeat everybody else's navy, and more importantly, patrol the territory you have, okay, so nobody else takes it. To move troops around, to move supplies around, you need this navy. So, reasons for imperialism is the next question, okay? So there's 3 main reasons. Number 1, economic, okay? If Britain has the magic Lowe's card, if Britain has this magic thing where they get all the free resources, and America doesn't, well then America is going to have to sell their goods at double the price of Britain, which means everybody buys from Britain. So in order to be competitive with Britain, we had to get that magic Lowe's card, right? So, stay competitive with the Europeans after closing the frontier in 1890. Okay, we took the cheap raw materials straight from the Indians. We had plundered our own continent already, and we needed to expand in order to keep expanding. Okay? All right, so military reasons. Necessary overseas military bases. Okay? All right, if you have a massive modern navy, you need to resupply that navy with coal, with food, with troops, with everything, with gunpowder, whatever. So you have to have little bases all over the world, places to park your ships even. And that's another reason for imperialism. The last reason, okay, which is on the test, is something called white man's burden. All right, and it ties in with manifest destiny. So, white man's burden is the belief that whites were ordered by God to improve conditions for other races. In other words, these other people were savages in the minds of Americans. They were not Christian folks. So we had to go and conquer them in order to save their souls. So conquer them, murder a whole bunch of them, take their stuff, and then force them to become Christians is basically white man's burden. It is a twisted version of the Bible. This is not what the Bible advocates, okay, at all. But they took politics, they took greed, and they mixed the Bible in it, and they twist it together, and you get white man's burden. All right? So the next video is going to be about Hawaii.